right. Send a notice out. And check to make sure we are online. Okay, we are online. Okay, we are online. Okay, got it. Okay, let's start class. All right. Okay, time for Kirtan. Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa Paramahansa Alsutata, Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Savaya, Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha, Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayama Kunda, Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharni, Nivashesha, Shunyavadi Paschacha, Deja Tarane. So, let's read the translation of the Manak Shiksha by Srila Caritamrta Thakur. In this material world, which is progressing toward hell, there's always a blazing fire, and everyone is struggling hard without finding peace. Therefore, if the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter under the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, which are cooling like the shining of millions of moons. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult to approach Radha Krishna. Anyone who does not establish their relationship with Lord Nityananda is simply spoiling their boon of a human birth in the animal propensities of sense gratification. Never saying the names of Lord Nityananda and Lord Caitanya, they become absorbed in so-called material enjoyment, and their academic education and birth in a high family or great nation will not protect them at the time of death. They have become maddened by a false concept of bodily life, and thus they have forgotten their eternal relationship with Lord Nityananda. Such forgetful persons accept the illusory energy as factual. When you achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact, and anyone who engages in the transcendental loving service of Lord Nityananda immediately achieves their transcendental position on the spiritual platform, which is eternal and blissful. Therefore, always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Narottam Thakur says, "My dear Lord Nityananda, I am very unhappy, so I am praying to you to make me happy. Please keep me in a corner of your lotus feet." Jai. Narottam Thakur ki Jai. So, let us go to the Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, where we're discussing more about the ecstatic motions and manifestations of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're reading from the 17th chapter of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, and let's start. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, reading from text 34 of the 17th chapter of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, Antya Lila. Nagara kaha tumi kariya nishchaya, Etri jagatpari achiyata yogya nari, Tomara venu kahana akarshaya. "Oh, dear lover," they said, "please answer just one question. Who among all the youthful women within this universe is not attracted by the sound of your flute?" Kaila jagatik venu dwani, siddha mantra yogini, tuti hana mohe nari mana, mohot kanta vadanarya patak chadana, anitamaya kare samarpana. When you play your flute, the vibration acts like a messenger in the form of a yogini, perfect in the art of chanting mantras. This messenger enchants all the women in the universe and attracts them to you. Then she increases their great anxiety and induces them to give up the regulative principle of obeying superiors. Finally, she forcibly brings them to you to surrender in amorous love. Wow. Dharmacharya venu dware hate taksha kama share lajabaya sakala chadaya evayamaya karirosha kahipati chagi dosha dharmikahana dharma shikaya. The vibration of your flute, accompanied by your glance, which pierces us forcibly with the arrows of lust, induces us to ignore the regulative principles of religious life. Thus we become excited by lusty desires and come to you giving up all shame and fear. But now you are angry with us. You are finding fault with our violating religious principles and leaving our homes and husbands. And as you instruct us about religious principles, we become helpless. Of course, this is when Krishna called the gopis to meet with him by his flute. And Krishna said, "This is not proper for you to be out here at night alone. It's quite dangerous. Go back home." And the gopis were upset that Krishna was instructing them about religious principles when he had actually called them to come, utilizing his flute. Anya Caitanya mana bahire anya acharana esava chata paripati tumi jana parihasa hayanarira sarvanasha chadae sabakuti nati. We know that this is all a well-planned trick. You know how to make jokes that cause the complete annihilation of women, but we can understand that your real mind, words, and behavior are different. Therefore, please give up all these clever tricks. Venu nada amrita kole, amrita samana mite bole, amrita samana bhushana shinjita, tinamrite harikana, harimana hariprana, kemane nari dari vega chitta. The nectarian buttermilk of your flute's vibration, the nectar of your sweet words, and the nectarian sound of your ornaments mix together to attract our ears, minds, and lives. In this way, you are killing us. Etakai kroda veshe, babera taranga vase, utkanta sagare dube mana, retaro kantavani, pariyapane vakani, Krishna Badurya Kari Ashvadada. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu spoke these words in a mood of anger as he floated on waves of ecstatic love. Merged in an ocean of anxiety, he recited a verse spoken by Srimati Radharani, expressing the same emotion. Then he personally explained the verse and thus tasted the sweetness of Krishna. So he's expressing Radharani's man, or anger towards Krishna. Nadad jalada nishpana shavana karchi satchin jitacha sanarma rasa shuchaka kshara vadharta bang yuti karaka ram ramadika varangana vidya harivam shikala seme madana mohana saki tanoti karma spriham. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "My dear friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna has a voice as deep as a cloud resounding in the sky. With the tinkling of his ornaments, he attracts the ears of the gopis, and his joking words carry many indications and deep meanings. With the sound of his flute, he attracts even the goddess of fortune and other beautiful women. That personality of Godhead, known as Madana Mohan, is increasing the lusty desires of my ears. So this verse is found in the Govinda Lilamrita 8:5. Kantera Gambhira Dwani, Navagana Dwani Jini, Yadagune Kokila Lajaya, Taraeka Shruti Kane, Dubaya Jagatera Kane, Hunakana Bahudina Aya. Krishna's deep voice is more resonant than newly arrived clouds, and his sweet song defeats even the sweet voice of the cuckoo. Indeed, his song is so sweet that even one particle of its sound can inundate the entire world. If such a particle enters one's ear, one is immediately bereft of all other types of hearing. Kaha Saki Hikari Upaya Krishnara Se Shabagune Hari Le Amara Kane Ebe Napaya Trishnaya Mariyaya. My dear friend, please tell me what to do. My ears have been plundered by the qualities of Krishna's sound. Now, however, I cannot hear his transcendental sound, and I am almost dead for want of it. Nupara Kinkini Dwani Hamsa Sarasi Jini Kankana Dwani Chatakela Jaya Ekabara Yeshune Vyapi Rahi Tarakane Anya Shabda Se Kane Nayaya. The tinkling of Krishna's ankle bells surpasses the songs of even the swan and crane, and the sound of his bangles puts the singing of the Chataka bird to shame. Having allowed these sounds to enter the ears even once, one cannot tolerate hearing anything else. Se Shrimukha Vashita Amrita Te Paramrita Smita Karpurata Hate Mishrita Shabdartha Dvi Shakti Nana Rasa Kare Vyakti Prakshakshara Narma Vibhushita. Krishna's speech is far sweeter than nectar. Each of his jubilant words is full of meaning, and when his speech mixes with his smile, which is like camphor, the resultant sound and deep meaning of Krishna's words create various transcendental mellows. Se amritera ekadakana karna chakora jivana karna chakora jye se ashe bhagavase kabupaya abhajye kabu napaya napaile maraye vyase. One particle of that transcendental blissful nectar is the life and soul of the ear, which is like a chakora bird that lives in hope of tasting that nectar. Sometimes, by good fortune, the bird can taste it, but at other times he unfortunately cannot, and therefore almost dies of thirst. It's a very intimate subject matter here. And Lord Caitanya is just like expressing his deep mood of separation from Krishna. Yevavenu kaladwani ekabara tashuni jagannari chita olaiha nivibanda padikasi vinamule hayadasi molehana Krishna hashedaya. The transcendental vibration of Krishna's flute disturbs the hearts of women all over the world, even if they hear it only once. Thus their fastened belts become loose, and these women become the unpaid maidservants of Krishna. Indeed, they run toward Krishna exactly like mad women. Yeva Lakshmi Takarani Tenho Ye Kalakali Shuni Krishna Pashai Se Pratyakshaya Napaya Krishnera Sangha Bhari Trishna Taranga Tapat Kare Tavu Nahi Paya. When she hears the vibration of Krishna's flute, even the goddess of fortune comes to him, greatly hoping for his association, but nevertheless she does not get it. When the waves of thirst for his association increase, she performs austerities, but she cannot meet him. So the goddess of fortune, of course, is also described previously in the Caitanya Caritamrta. that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, she wants to associate with Krishna and Vrindavan, but she can't because she's attached to her opulent mode of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one is attached to opulence, or to the opulent mode of worship, or one is attached to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one cannot enter into Vrindavan. So, the goddess of fortune, even though she performed austerities for thousands of years, she could not enter into the Braja pastimes of the Lord. E Shabdamrita Chare, Yarahaya Bhagyabhare, Se Karne Ha Kare Pana, Iha Ye Nahi Shune, Se Kana Janmila Kene, Kana Kare Sama Se Kana. Only the most fortunate can hear these four nectarian sounds, Krishna's voice, the tinkling of his ankle bells and bangles, his words, and the vibration of his flute. If one does not hear these sounds, his ears are as useless as small conch shells with holes, or snake holes. Kariteyache vilapa utila udvega baba mane kaho nahi alambana udvega vishalamati otshukatraya sadriti smiti nanavavera haila milana. While Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu lamented in this way, agitation and ecstasy awoke in his mind, and he became very restless. Many transcendental ecstasies combined in him, including anxiety, lamentation, attention, eagerness, fear, determination, and remembrance. Baba Shabdabale Radharauti Lila Sukye Haila Spurti Sebave Bhade Ekashloka Unmadera Samarte Che Se Shlokera Kare Arte Ye Arta Nahi Jane Loka. The aggregate of all these ecstasies once awoke a statement by Srimati Radharani in the mind of Bilbamangal Thakur, Lila Shuka. In the same ecstatic mood, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now recited that verse, and on the strength of that madness, he described its meaning, which is unknown to people in general. Like I said, this is very elevated subject matters. I'm not commenting that much on this. You'll just have to hear it, get purified, understand. One day you will understand it. And just appreciate Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's deep, deep mood in relationship to separation from Krishna. King Miha Krunuma Krasha Bruma Kritam Kritamasjaya Katayata Katamanyam Danyamaho Hridayeshaya Madhura Madhura Smirakare Mano Nayanotsave Kripana Kripana Krishne Trishna Chirambata Lambate. So this is, I believe it's from the Krishna Caritamrta. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, Alas, what should I do? To whom shall I speak? Let whatever I have done in hopes of meeting Krishna be finished now. Please say something auspicious, but do not speak about Krishna. Alas, Krishna is lying within my heart like Cupid, and therefore how can I possibly give up talking about him? I cannot forget Krishna, whose smile is sweeter than sweetness itself and who gives pleasure to my mind and eyes. Alas, my great thirst for Krishna is increasing moment by moment. Yeah, so this is a statement by Srimati Radharani and is quoted from the Krishna Caritamrta, verse 42. E Krishnara virahe udvege manastira nahe prapjupaya chintana nayaya yevatumi sakigana vishare bola mana kare puchon keka he upaya. The anxiety caused by separation from Krishna has made me impatient, and I can think of no way to meet him. O my friends, you are also deranged by lamentation. Who therefore will tell me how to find him? Ha ha saki kikare upaya kan karon kan yana kan gela Krishna pana Krishna vina pranamora yaya. Oh my dear friends, how shall I find Krishna? What shall I do? Where shall I go? Where can I meet him? Because I cannot find Krishna. My life is leaving me. Phew. Wow. Intense mood of separation. Shane mana stirahoya, tabi mane vicharaya, palite haila bhavod Pingalara vachana smriti, Raila bhavamati, tate Caritamrta nirdharana. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became calm and considered his state of mind. He remembered the words of Pingala, and this aroused an ecstasy that moved him to speak. Thus he spoke the meaning of the verse. So Prabhupada explains that Pingala was a prostitute who said, to hope against hope produces only misery. Utter hopelessness is the greatest happiness. Remembering this statement, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic. The story of Pingala is found in Srimad Bhagavatam 11, Canto 8th, chapter, verses 22 to 44, as well as in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva, chapter 174. So the story of Pingala, at least in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is as follows. You have this one Brahmin who is learning from observing different personalities, different aspects of the material nature, different animals. He's learning all sorts of different things. Like he learned from pigeons, were called kapota and kapoti, a male and female pigeon, to become detached. How did he learn that? Once upon a time, he was observing these two pigeons. There's a male pigeon, female pigeon, and little baby pigeons. So what happened is the male and female pigeon went out to get some worms. Okay. And while they were out to get some worms, then some of the little baby pigeons, I guess, fell out of the nest and they were trapped by a hunter. Then, when the lady pigeon, female pigeon, not exactly lady, came back, she tried to rescue her kids, and as a result, she got trapped in the net by the hunter. Then, what happened after that? When the male pigeon came back and he saw his wife and kids in the net, he understood he couldn't rescue them, but he fainted and fell to the ground, and he got caught in the net too. So the moral of the story is attachment keeps us entangled in this material world and makes us miserable. Anyway, so part of that story where the Avadhuta Brahman was learning from different persons, different aspects of the material energy, and from different animals, was the story of Pingala. Pingala was a prostitute, and basically she didn't have any money. And so what she did, she was a streetwalker, you'd say. So she hung out on the street, calling people all night long. Do you want love? Do you want love? Do you want love? And nobody stopped. And at the end of the night, she became completely disappointed and lost hope. It's called hope against hope. She lost hope in everything, and that was the greatest happiness. There's no happiness in this material world. Okay. But this particular case has to do with the separation from Krishna, which doesn't happen to be material happiness, but it's just like it's hopeless that I can meet with Krishna. So this is one of the moods of intense separation. Deki he upaye Krishna asha chari diye asha chari le sukhi haya mana chara Krishna kata danya kahanya kata danya Yate Haya Krishna Vismarana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if I give up hope of meeting Krishna, I shall then be happy. Therefore, let us stop this most glorious discussion of Krishna. It would be better for us to talk of glorious topics and forget him. In other words, the gopis were thinking like that. We're not going to be able to meet with Krishna. Just give up the hope. If we give up the hope, then at least we'll be more peaceful. Because when you still have hope for something, your mind is agitated. It's the same thing as the prostitute, Pingala. Kaite haila smriti, chite haila Krishna spurti, sakire kaihana vismite, vyare chai chadite, Se shuna lache jite konarite napari chadite. While speaking in this way, Srimati Radharani suddenly remembered Krishna. Indeed, he appeared within her heart. Greatly astonished, she told her friends, the person I want to forget is lying in my heart. Radhababera Swabhavana Krishna Karaya Kamagyana Kamagyane Trasa Hailachite Kahiye Jagatjama Jagatmare Sevashilantare Evoirina Deya Pasarite. Srimati Radharani's ecstasy also made her think of Krishna as Cupid, and this understanding frightened her. She said, this Cupid who has conquered the whole world and entered my heart is my greatest enemy, for he does not allow me to forget him. So she's trying her best to forget him and stop talking about him. So one thing you'll notice is that these verses spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are all poetic, and there's definitely rhymes there. Each half of the first and the second line, first and the third line, rhyme with each other. The end rhymes with each other. And the second line rhymes with the fourth line. And they maintain a certain meter. This is poetry. O Sukyara Pravinye Jiti Anya Baba Sanye Udaya Haile Nija Raja Made Mani Hai Lalasa Nahaya Panavasha Duke Mane Karena Bartsane. Then great eagerness conquered all the other soldiers of ecstasy, and an uncontrollable desire arose in the kingdom of Srimati Radharani's mind. Greatly unhappy, she then chastised her own mind. Mana Mora Vamadina Jala Vina Yena Mina Krishna Vina Kshane Mariyae Madhura Yasya Vadane Mana Nitra Rasayane Krishna Trishna Dviguna Vadaya. If I do not think of Krishna, my impoverished mind will die within a moment like a fish out of water. But when I see Krishna's sweetly smiling face, my mind and eyes are so pleased that my desire for him redoubles. Ha Krishna Pranadana, Ha Padma Lochana, Ha Divya Sadguna Sagara, Ha Shama Sundara, Ha Pitambara Dara, Ha Rasa Vilasa Nagara. Alas, where is Krishna, the treasure of my life? Where is the lotus-eyed one? Alas, where is the divine ocean of all transcendental qualities? Alas, where is the beautiful blackish youth dressed in yellow garments? Alas, where is the hero of the rasa dance? Kahan gele tumapai tumika tanyai itakai chalila dana srupa uti kole kare prabhure aniladari nijastane vasaila laina. Where shall I go? Where can I find you? Please tell me, I shall go there. Speaking in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began running, but Swarup Damodar Goswami stood up, caught him, and took him on his lap. Then Swarup Damodar brought him back to his place and made him sit down. Shaneke Prabhura Vaya Haila Swarupere Antya Dila Swarupa Kichu Kara Madhura Gana Swarupa Gaya Vidyapati Gita Govinda Giti Shuni Prabhura Judaila Kana. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to external consciousness and said to Swarup Damodar Goswami, my dear Swarup, please sing some sweet songs. The Lord's ears were satisfied when he heard Swarup Damodar sing songs from the Gita Govinda and those by the poet Vidyapati. So the Gita Govinda, of course, as we mentioned before, that's Jayadev Goswami's literature. Very, very elevated literature for pure devotees. Emata Mahaprabhu Prati Ratri Dine Unmada Chishtitaya Pralapa Vachane. Each day and night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would become deranged in this way and talk like a madman. Ekadine yatahaya pavera vikara sahasramuke varnayadi nahi paya para. Even an Antadev who possesses thousands of mouths cannot fully describe the ecstatic transformations that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu experienced in a single day. Jivadina ki karebe tahara varnana shaka chandra nyaya kari dig darashana. What can a poor creature like me describe of those transformations? I can only give a hint of them as if showing the moon through the branches of a tree. Iha yeshunitara vijudaya manakana olokika guda prema chishtahaya jnana. This description, however, will satisfy the mind and ears of anyone who hears it, and he will be able to understand these uncommon activities of deep ecstatic love for Krishna. Adbhuta niguda premera madhura mahima apaniyashvari prabhu dekaila simha. Ecstatic love for Krishna is wonderfully deep. By personally tasting the glorious sweetness of that love, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu showed us its extreme limit. Adbhuta dayalu Chaitanya adbhuta vadanya ache dayalu datad loke nahi shuni anya. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was wonderfully merciful and wonderfully magnanimous. We have heard of no one else within this world so merciful and charitable. Sarvabhavi bhajaloka Chaitanya charana yahaiti pairva Krishna Premamrita dana. O people of the world, worship the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu in all respects. Only in this way will you achieve the nectarian treasure of ecstatic love for Krishna. Eta kahilun kumakriti anubhava unmada chestitatate unmada palapa. Thus I have described Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic transformation, becoming like a tortoise. In that ecstasy he talked and acted like a madman. E Lila swagrante raghunatha dasa goranga stava kapavrikshe kairachena prakasha. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has fully described this pastime in his book Gauranga Stava Kalpavriksha, because Raghunath Das Goswami was there at the time witnessing all these different pastimes. He actually stayed with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu amongst the Goswamis of Vrindavan longer than any of the other Goswamis of Vrindavan. And he was able to relate these pastimes not only to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, but to Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and the other Goswamis of Vrindavan. So every day he would have a Chaitanya Lilamrita talk with everybody in Vrindavan. Amazing. Anudgatya dwara trayamuru bitik trayamaho bilangyo chai kalingika survai majje nipatita Tanujats Ashangochat Kamataiva Krishna Ru Virahad Virajan Gorango Ridyaudiyan Mam Madayati. How wonderful it is! Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his residence without opening the 3 strongly bolted doors. Then he crossed over 3 high walls, and later, because of strong feelings of separation from Krishna, he fell down amidst the cows of the Kailonga district and retracted all the limbs of his body like a tortoise. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in that way, rises in my heart and maddens me. So this is, of course, from Raghunath Das Goswami's book, Gauranga Stava Kalpa Vriksha. That means the verses describing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which are a Kalpa Vriksha desire tree of the stavas, or the verses describing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is known as Gauranga. So it looks like we're going to end the chapter. It's interesting. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrta Kayi Krishna Das. Paint the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta following in their footsteps. So let's see, let me write this down. We finished the chapter today. 34 to 73. And thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, Antya Lila, 17th chapter, describing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime of retracting his limbs like a tortoise. We're almost finished with the Chaitanya Caritamrta, so we're going to start with chapter 18. Chapter 18 is entitled Rescuing the Lord from the Sea. A summary of the 18th chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Prabaha Vaksha. On an autumn evening when the moon was full, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked along the seashore near the Tota temple. Mistaking the sea for the Jamuna river, he jumped into it, hoping to see the water pastimes Krishna enjoyed with Srimati Radharani and other gopis. As he floated in the sea, however, he was washed away to the Karnaka temple, that's the sun god's temple, where a fisherman, thinking that the Lord's body was a big fish, caught him in his net and brought him ashore. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious and his body had become unusually transformed. As soon as the fisherman touched the Lord's body, the fisherman became mad in ecstatic love of Krishna. His own madness frightened him, however, because he thought that he was being haunted by a ghost. As he was about to seek a ghost charmer, he met Swarup Damodar Goswami and the other devotees on the beach, who had been looking everywhere for the Lord. After some inquiries, Swarup Damodar could understand that the fisherman had caught Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his net. Since the fisherman was afraid of being haunted by a ghost, Swarup Damodar gave him a slap and chanted Hare Krishna, which immediately pacified him. Thereafter, when the devotees chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to his external consciousness. Then they brought him back to his own residence. It's an amazing story of Mahabhav. Saraj Joshna Sindor Avakalayinaya Jata Jamuna Brahma Dhabanyosmin Hariviraha Kaparnavahiva Imagnu Murchala Payasi Nibasan Ratri Makilam Prabhate Prapta Swar Avatu Sasachi Sunur Ihanaha. In the brilliant autumn moonlight, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mistook the sea for the river Yamuna. Greatly afflicted by separation from Krishna, he ran and dove into the sea and remained unconscious in the water the entire night. In the morning he was found by his personal devotees. May that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, protect us by his transcendental pastimes. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Dvaita Charya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. E Mate Mahaprabhu Nilachale Vaise Rachidene Krishna Viche Dharnava Bhase. While thus living at Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu floated all day and night in an ocean of separation from Krishna. Sharat Kalera Ratri Sabha Chandrika Ujvala Prabhu Nijagana Lana Vedana Ratri Sakala. During the night in the autumn season, when the full moon brightened everything, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered all night long with his devotees. Ujjani Ujjani Brahmana Tuka Dekite Rasalila Ragita Shloka Padite Shunite. He walked from garden to garden, seeing the pastimes of Lord Krishna and hearing and reciting songs and verses concerning the Rasa Lila. Prabhu Prema Veshe Garena Gana Nartana Prabhu Bhava Veshe Rasa Lila Nu Karana. He sang and danced in ecstatic love and sometimes imitated the rasa dance in emotional ecstasy. Kabu Bhavom De Prabhu Iti Utitaya Bhumi Pari Kabu Murcha Kabu Gari Aya. He sometimes ran here and there in the madness of ecstasy and sometimes fell and rolled on the ground. Sometimes he became completely unconscious. Rasa Lila Raika Shloka Yabi Pari Shune Arta Karena Apane. When he heard Swarup Damodar recite a verse concerning the Rasa Lila, or he himself recited one, he would personally explain it as he had previously done. Emata Rasa Lilaya, Haya Yata Shloka, Sabarartha Kare Paya, Kabu Harsha Shoka. In this way, he explained the meaning of all the verses concerning the Rasa Lila. Sometimes he would be very sad and sometimes very happy. Se sabashlokera artha se sabavikara se sabavarnite granta haya ativastara. To explain fully all those verses and all the transformations that took place in the Lord's body would require a very large volume. Dvadashavatsare ye lilakshanakshane ativahulya ye lilakshanakshane ativahulya vaye granta na kailun likane. So as not to increase the size of this book, I have not written about all the Lord's pastimes, for he performed them every moment of every day for 12 years. Something like Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, we read about a few of the demons that Krishna killed. But remember, Krishna was in Vrindavan, some people say 12 years, some people say 16 years, but in any case, a lot of years, and each year has 365 days, some years 366. And so that means every day there were specific special pastimes going on, perhaps other demons being killed and other pastimes with the gopis. We're just hearing a brief summary of what happened when Krishna was present on this earth planet 500 years ago. So one more verse. Purvaye dekanachi digdarashana taichi daniha vikara valapa varnana. As I have previously indicated, I am describing the mad speeches and bodily transformations of the Lord only in brief. Sahasra vadanayabe kahaye ananta egadinera lilara tabu nahipaya anta. If Ananta with his 1,000 hoods tried to describe even one day's pastimes of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he would find them impossible to describe fully. So we went from text 1 to 13. Chapter 18, and so now we can take some questions from everybody. Whoops. Let me unmute everybody and get this camera working. Back in. All right. Let's just skip the camera. Okay. Okay, so if you have a question, and should be about this specific topic, nothing, obviously you can ask it about another subject matter, but better to ask about the topics we've been discussing today and yesterday about the ecstatic transformations of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So raise your hand or type in the text window or unmute yourself. Rishikesh.
Hi, Krishna Gurudev, my obeisances. Uh, Gurudev, my question is, how do I genuinely cultivate this mood of separation when I've never experienced what it is to meet with Krishna?
Well, follow the Shikshashtaka and pick verses that are appropriate for you, such as Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddho, Kripya Tavapada Jas, Titadule Sadrasam Vachintaya. O son of Nanda Maharaj, I am your eternal servant, and somehow or other I've fallen into this horrible ocean of birth and death. Please fix me up as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So in other words, it's appropriate for us to express the deep suffering that we're having in this world and saying, Krishna, save me. Now, of course, that may not be pure devotional service, but we're begging for service. Fix me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. I'm separated from you. I can't see you, Krishna. I can't be with you. Obviously, you can't have that same mood as the gopis at this particular point, or the residents of Vrindavan at this particular point, but you can have the mood of being separated from the person who you should be loving most. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Appropriate. Pick appropriate verses in the Shikshashtaka. like Nadanam Najanam Nasandurim Kavidam Va Jagadishakamayay Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhakti Adhaitaki Dwaye. Krishna, I don't want any of these things, but my mind is still attracted to these things. So this is a separation. I don't want these things, but somehow or other my consciousness is immersed in the grossest type of the material energy. And please, Krishna, save me, save me. We're drowning. Vami Nachiraparta Michu Samsaragarat. If I got that Sanskrit right. Krishna will save you, quickly save you from the ocean of birth and death.
Thank you, Gurudev.
We're drowning. In other words, you don't realize you're drowning. We think we're expert swimmers. Uh, and we're actually drowning. It's just like that story of Markandeya Rishi in the Bhagavatam. Markandeya Rishi was speaking to Krishna, and Krishna said, "What do you want?" He said, "I want to see your material energy." And so immediately he saw an immense flood and Timingila fish, and he was caught in the ocean, and he was drowning in the ocean. Of course, he never died at that point. And, he was just like, wow. But we don't realize that we are in this ocean. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham, danger at every step, and problems, there's anxiety, there's anxiety that you're not going to get what you want, there's an anxiety you're going to lose what you have. And basically, by Krishna's time factor, I hate to put anyone in anxiety, you do lose what you have materially. Everything is taken away by the action of time. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he didn't want to kill his kinsmen, and Krishna said, you're going to lose them anyway. They're going to be killed by me. Ritu sarva haraschaham, I'm all devouring death. And also he says, Kalo asmi, I am the time factor. So, we're drowning, and we're not saying help, help. So that in that way we can actually ask for or experience a mood of separation. And also, as we advance more, Nayanam Galodashru Daraya Baranam Gadgada Rudiya Pulaka Nichitam Pupukada Tavanama Grane Vivishade. We can also, when will that day be mine? When the hairs of the body stand on end at the recitation of the name. Also, we have this verse, Kabi Habi Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Kabi Habi Bolo Se Dinamar Aparada Guche Harinama Ruche. He said, when will that day be mine? Kabi Habi Bolo Se Din Amar. When will that day be mine? When all the offenses ceasing, taste for the name increasing, when will that day be mine? So in this way we can have the same intensity, and it's not like the gopis exactly, but it's purifying. The Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu Shikshastika can be chanted or understood, or we can chant in the mood of various verses of the Shikshastika, so the same intensity can manifest in our heart. Now, obviously, we're not at the level of, Krishna, you can do anything you want, crush me by your embrace, leave me broken heart by not being present before me. That's right, we're not at that level. But there's other verses we can relate to. Like I mentioned, a few of the verses that you invested all your transcendental potency in your holy name. But it's so unfortunate. I have no attraction for them. Isn't it? So that, you can lament like that, and that lamentation is your hankering for some perfection. You may not be hankering to hear Krishna's flute. Oh, I want to hear Krishna's flute. I want to hear Krishna's flute. We're not hankering to hear Krishna's flute. Or maybe you are, but at least you can find and resonate with certain verses in the Shikshastika. Does that answer your question, Mr.
Yes,
Rishikesh?
Gurudev. Thank you so much.
Okay. Who else has a question? raise your hand or type in the text window or unmute yourself. No one else has a question. Okay.
Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances.
Okay, Rakesh. So you get your one question.
Gurudev, please, how important is it Mangala Aarti in our daily Vedic sadhana bhakti, like attending Mangala Aarti
How important is it? Do you go to Mangalarti?
every day?
All right. So the main thing is that we accept everything favorable and we reject everything unfavorable for remembering Krishna. If you're able to go, then it's helpful. But throughout the rest of the day, you have to remember Krishna. It's not that I just go to Mangalarti and I'm a rascal throughout the rest of the day. Then, as soon as I leave the temple, then I'm a playboy.
Not me, Gurudev.
Not you. Okay, you're begging for forgiveness. That's what it means in India. It's the rest of the day. So the whole point is Kirtaniya Siddhahare, to remember Krishna and serve Krishna with all of your being. I mean, some people, for one reason or other, can't go to Mangalarti every morning, but they're serving Krishna 100% of the time, just engage in Krishna service. So don't find fault with people. You go every day, but someone else may be a pure devotee who doesn't go. So just cool it. So, okay, gotcha. So anyway, I think it's time to end. Thank you very much, and we will see everybody tomorrow. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada.